51 years ago, George Orwell wrote a prescient passage about the manipulation of language in politics. One ought to recognize that the present political chaos is connected with the decay of language. Political language is designed to make lies sound truthful and murder respectable, and to give an appearance of solidity to pure wind. Well, back then, Orwell was writing about the rise of communism and the far left thought. Today, with the rise of the hard left in America, we should keep Orwell's warnings in mind and learn to spot lies that are made to sound truthful during this pivotal time. Now, lucky for you, we're here and we're going to help decode and translate the language of the Democrats and their media allies this campaign season. First up, what they're saying about virus strategy.
They need leadership. They need a plan.
I wish we had a national plan.
Everybody's confused. This is a time that we should be talking with one very clear, very consistent voice.
Where was the national strategy? Where was the national leadership? It didn't exist.
Okay, translation. When they say national strategy, they mean national lockdown. They mean national lockdown. They mean national lockdown. It is abundantly clear that they want to shut down the entire country until the virus either magically disappears on its own or until there is an effective, safe vaccine, which even Dr. Fauci has to say may never come. And think about Cuomo for a moment. With his deadly COVID record, he should be run out of politics forever, not be held up as some type of anti-COVID superhero. And here's your nightly reminder. New York's deaths account for nearly a quarter of all deaths in the United States. They've had nearly 13 times more deaths per 100,000 than Texas and 7.5 times more than Florida. Now, recall also that California, speaking of strategy, they instituted a strict lockdown, and now they still have rising infections. It obviously didn't work. It prolonged the inevitable. So the national leadership they're craving for has to be just another lockdown, this time a national lockdown, period. No exceptions. And Biden can't admit this. Of course he can, and the media is not going to press him on it, certainly for any specifics of his solution, because they know it's not popular. But moving on, decoding the Democrats on race.
Americans are in the streets demanding racial justice.
I think that the right thing to do for our country moving forward is to guarantee health care, pay people a living wage, support labor rights, and make sure that we're doing that with a lens of racial and social justice.
Now is the time for racial justice.
Okay, what does racial justice mean? I'll tell you what it means. It means empowering groups that pretend to care about minorities, but actually just end up profiting themselves by stoking racial animosity. Under a Biden administration, decisions will be made largely based on race, not on merit or hard work or achievement. Those words themselves, remember, come from white privilege, they're telling us now. So get ready for massive discrimination against, I don't know, more than 100 million Americans, as special privileges, accommodations, and money are doled out to certain politically preferred groups. And on foreign policy, well, Democrats say they're going to need to rebuild all of our international relationships.
The challenge of following this disastrous presidency over will not be just to restore the reputation and our credibility. It'll be to enact a forward-looking foreign policy for the world as we find it today.
Translation. Get ready for another apology tour. Biden is going to go around the world begging America's pardon. After all, having a president who actually fought for and fights for our American workers and is tough on trade, he's not giving away the store like Obama did. You think the Europeans like that? That's why Europe would probably love a Biden presidency, because they know he'll do pretty much everything Europe wants. And as far as China is concerned, remember Biden said they weren't even a threat. Expect a dismantling of all tariffs, huge concessions by the United States, and the continued outsourcing of American jobs. Oh, what about health care? Well, it's still the old, if you like your plan, you can keep it.
Health care guaranteed is a human right, but taking away the right to have a private plan if you want a private plan, I disagree with.
No, okay, but here's a member of Biden's own Unity Healthcare Task Force talking about how she and the progressives were able to move Biden to the left.
We did a lot of good work together to really push the vice president's healthcare platform much further than it's been before, to take elements of Medicare for All and put it into the platform.
Into the platform. Of course they mean government-run health care. They've already embraced free health care for illegal immigrants. And I think to really understand what's in store for us, look no further than this chilling account from the Guardian newspaper today. It was written by a woman with late-stage cancer about her delayed treatment from the National Health Service. The operation finally took place on 27 February, almost 5 months after the cancer had recurred. Once he'd taken a look inside, my surgeon closed me up again with a heavy heart. It was now impossible to remove all the cancerous tissue. They got there too late. It's a heartbreak. On taxes, they're selling the same stale lines.
I think we should raise taxes on the wealthy.
Pass a wealth tax and protect our democracy.
And let's help millions of would-be entrepreneurs get out from under their debts so they can start businesses. And it's time corporate America paid their fair share of taxes.
Fair share? Translation. It's back to the failed policies of the 1970s when the top marginal rates were 70%. It's not going to be just for corporations. And of course, a tax rate that high just hurts working men and women. Wall Street bankers and K Street lobbyists, they can always find ways around paying these exorbitant rates. But that's their plan, to punish everyone who works for a living, then dole out the money they have to programs like, I don't know, let's go back to midnight basketball. The Tax Policy Center estimated that Joe Biden's agenda would raise taxes by $4 trillion over the next decade, more than twice as big as a tax raise as proposed by Hillary Clinton in 2016. And speaking of fairness, the rich already pay their fair share. Check this out. The average household in the top 1% retains almost 18 times as much income after taxes and transfer payments as the bottom fifth, but pays more than 219 times as much in taxes. As we move through this campaign season, I'm going to be doing more decoding for you, but I have to admit, there are some people in the Democrat Party who really are saying what they mean.
They were criticizing, like, why use the word defund? Why use the word defund? And it's like, this is the word that's coming from the streets.
This is about true reparations. Our first responders have a role to play in society, but they need to play a role in every part of society.
We must begin the work of dismantling the whole system of oppression wherever we find it.
Well, there's no translation needed here. They're actually telling the truth. They mean it when they say it. This is what they're planning. They're already doing it in places like Minneapolis and LA. On most big issues of the past year, the squad has been the Democratic thought leader. From climate change to impeachment to defunding the police. And they'll all continue to be key influencers in a Biden administration, you bet. And if you think Biden is going to stop them, you're just either naive or haven't been paying any attention. Biden will be nothing more than an Oval Office bobblehead, nodding along with whatever far leftist appears before him at any given time. Biden's no longer the moderate of yore. He's moved so far left to satiate the mob that he'll have to continue doing so, or else they're going to surround his new house and then burn things around it until he does. And do you think Biden is going to call up the National Guard to protect monuments or even the White House? No way. They'll get him out through the tunnel. I'm confident, despite all of this, despite all the decoding we're going to have to do, that come fall, many more Americans will understand the Orwellian chasm that you're going to get thrown into under a Biden administration. Wouldn't you rather be decoding and exposing the radical agenda than actually living under it? And that's the angle.